Welcome in, everybody. It's Average Joe Sports Talk. Got my men here with me, as always, Mr. Shannon Wood, Mr. Josh Abercrombie. This is a show that we're going to do at the beginning of the season. It's a little bit out of order from what our normal shows are, but we absolutely have to do this show. We're going with a straight-up, old-fashioned SEC preview. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys, just talking to these two guys, setting up for this show, going over a few notes and things. We're definitely going to have some disagreements right off the bat, which is why you guys are tuning in. Also, this one's going to drop live on YouTube. If you guys like the content that we put out, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell beside it so you get the notifications when we upload weekly. This is going to be uploaded before we start our normally weekly regiment of Wednesdays and Sundays. This show is going to be dropping on Tuesday. With that being said, the SEC this year, to me, guys, is a little bit more wide open than normal. You're top heavy again. I think we all agree on that. You got to start with defending national champion Alabama. You can't take enough away from them, but the laws of nature is going to tell you you're bringing in, two new coordinators and a lot of new players. Can they plug and go? Can Saban keep doing what he's doing? He keeps bringing in great players. He keeps, it's obviously a testament to him that his coordinators don't make him. He makes them. And I have to give him mad respect for that. As much as, anybody that knows me knows I'm the furthest thing that's ever been on this planet from an Alabama fan. But I'm also, not an idiot. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. I do think, and this is honest truth, they don't play a ranked opponent till November. With that being said, I don't know how much they're going to get tested up until that point, but I do think as far as putting a team together, this is going to be one of his tougher jobs, in my personal opinion. With that being said, he's got two new coordinators. He's got a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator. It's hard to put those pieces of the puzzle together. He's replacing his entire secondary. He don't have one player from the secondary back. He only has 3 starters back. On defense. He does have 7 starters back on offense, though. Huge quarterback controversy, which we'll get into a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and let Josh give his opinion on Alabama right now.
Well, we do have 2 new coordinators. I really like the coordinators that we got. Mike Locksley, he was a co-offensive coordinator last year. He's got a lot of experience. I like the balance that he brings with the running and passing game. Obviously, we've got a quarterback controversy. And for me, whichever way you go, whichever way Coach Saban decides to go, that will either open up a portion of the playbook, or it closes a portion of the playbook. But we'll talk about that later. Defensive coordinator. He was also co-defensive coordinator last year. But when we talk about Nick Saban and defense, I don't think it really matters who you've got there. That's going to be Nick Saban's defense. We are replacing a whole new secondary. We've got some injuries that happened in the linebacker core, so we've got some things to overcome. But we reload. I mean, we got 5-stars stepping in, but to me, there is a big difference between a 5-star and a 5-star with experience.
I agree with that.
I think we're going to be tough. And I think the schedule lines up well for Alabama this year. Even though we do go to Death Valley at night, more than likely, we're going to get Mississippi State and Auburn both at home this year. And I think that's 2 really tough teams in the SEC West. So there will be some questions on offense, but it's hard to answer those questions until we figure out who's going to be playing quarterback.
I agree. Woods?
I have Alabama still obviously in the top of the SEC, one of the top teams in the SEC. Like he said, the quarterback battle is probably the biggest storyline this year. To me, it's the defense losing so much, and of course, like you said, they've got 5-star players step in, but also, like you said, the experience. Patrick Surtain Jr. will be one kid that has to step up. Savion Smith, who is actually a JUCO transfer, right, from started at LSU, now he's coming in. But you lose a Harrison. I think Deontay Thompson, he actually started a couple games last year, so
he's got a little
experience. And we all know Saban's going to coach his DBs up, but at the same time, it's different when you're on the field as a first year starter. And that's why, in my opinion, and again, we're not getting into Tua Hurts situation right now, but I think Tua's going to get out there, and he's going to need that. They're going to need the defense to help Tua. They're going to have to go hand in hand, and I'm not sure that can happen. The running game is going to be super strong again. The receivers, Judy. Judy. I wish, I watch recruiting very closely, and Florida was in play with him, and he's a stud. He's going to fill in like the Jones and all the number one receivers that
he showed out in that game last year.
He did, yeah, Ridley, yeah. They're just going to keep Ruggs and the kid that caught the touchdown pass.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, he's obviously really good. Defensive line, that's another place I have them kind of. They lost a lot of players. Linebackers obviously is going to be strong. They have Anthony Jennings, Dylan Moses, Mac Wilson. Not a lot of depth behind Mac Wilson. I'm not even sure who will start at other middle linebacker.
I think Christian Miller.
Yes, Miller, okay. But behind them, it kind of, a couple of injuries to linebackers, and they could be in trouble there. But those four, it's going to be hard to find a four better than them in the country. Mac Wilson, another kid that started coming on strong there at the end of the year. I have Alabama down for around 10 wins this season.
What do you got?
I've got 12 wins.
Yeah. And it could happen easily. Easily, like with the schedule, it could easily happen, yes.
Last year, the odds, the percentages say that Alabama's going to lose a game, But I don't think that, like you said, we're not going to face a ranked opponent until November. And another point towards what Woods was saying was, I believe that this is the first year. Usually you have somebody in that secondary that's returning.
Usually got a stud.
Yes,
Proven stud.
Clinton Dix,
Yes.
Mark Barron, Dre Kirkpatrick, but and you have a veteran leader on the team, but that's not the case this year. This year you're bringing back a whole new secondary.
That's why I opened up with is this another plug and go with a new coordinator and essentially 8 new starters.
Yeah.
This will be his toughest coaching job today.
Oh, you're right, and that's exactly what I was about to say. If Nick Saban, and there's hardly any doubt in my mind that he's not, the greatest, if not one of the top 2 greatest coaches, college football coaches ever. If Nick Saban can pull off an undefeated season this year, not only with the depleted defense, the plug and go players like you're saying, but I understand that he makes his coordinators, but he lost both of his coordinators. Not only that, you got the quarterback controversy here, and will the team split with that? You have to really watch that. The team, I think it should be Hurts and lose control of the. There's so many pieces going. There's more turmoil, but potential turmoil in the Alabama locker room than he's ever seen before, even faced before. If he can pull this off and go undefeated, bro, it's not even a question. It's.
Yeah, you'd have to at that point.
Yeah, it's.
And you'd have more rings than Bear. You'd have to.
Yeah.
But we've spoke a pretty good bit on the Tide. Now we got to go a little bit south and a little bit east and talk about the Auburn Tigers for a little bit. Auburn Tigers this year. There's a lot of questions coming in surrounding Auburn. How can a team look so good one week and then turn around and look so bad the next week? How can you be on such a high and then go on such a low?
I don't know, and that's the way it was last year. Auburn, they beat number 1 ranked Georgia, number 1 ranked Alabama, and just got earlier in the year just dismantled by LSU.
How many Fire Malzahn things do we say on
thousands? But with that being said, though, they do return 7 on offense. They do return 6 on defense. Both their wide receivers, starting wide receivers, are back. Stidham's back. They do replace a huge hole at running back. Woods, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, they have Cam Martin to fill in there, and obviously, like I think you threw a stat out earlier. How many years in a row was it with 1,000?
10 years with a
That's
1,000
crazy.
yard rusher.
That's crazy. And
pretty.
Cam Martin could be the guy.
It really is.
Whitlow could be the guy, but I like Asa Martin, the incoming guy. I mean, the kid's a stud. I mean, he is an absolute stud. I think he'll fill in. And the receivers, they did let Eli Stove and Will Hastings both out for the year, but you still have
Davis, Slater.
Yep, Ryan Davis. Like you have plenty there.
Craig Myers.
Myers. Oh yeah, Nate Craig Myers. That's right. And then they have, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the SEC, Jarrett Stidham. The kid's he's rock solid. He's getting better. Started off a little shaky. I mean, he's coming to the SEC from was it Big 12? Came from Baylor. Yeah. So I mean, it took him a little while to get adapted to it, but I mean, at the end of the year, the kid was playing at a high level, and I think he'll continue that. On defense, they this is the crazy stat about Auburn last year. They only had 6 picks last year. 6 picks, and that can't happen. I mean, you have to have a lot of turnovers. Linebacking core is going to be pretty
Davis.
good. Yeah, I don't think their defense is going to be as good as it has been in recent years. I think they're going to take a step back, and it's going to have to rely more on Jarrett Stidham. But I think he can actually handle that. I have Auburn to have Georgia and Bama.
What do you have Auburn going?
I have them 10 wins. If they can get past Washington, if they can get past that first game, because Washington obviously they're really good. They're going to run the Pac-12 and that there's not going to be close to them probably.
Yeah, they're going to be very good. That's going to be our game of the week coming up that we're going to talk about later. Give me your prediction on Auburn. What do you think they finish and why?
Well, I think they could be as low as 10 wins. And that's my bare minimum. I think they've got a lot of talent. Talent is not a problem. We all know Gus Malzahn is a great play caller. And they could easily, we could easily be looking at a undefeated Iron Bowl. It's just going to be one of those years. But like you said, to your credit, that Washington game, that's going to set the pace for this Auburn Tigers team. But they're going to, and you said their defense is not going to be as good as it has been years past. That's not necessarily a cut to Auburn.
Right.
Well, that defense has been, running at a high level.
Right.
So if the defense does take a step back, I think, Jarrett Stidham, really his first year last year playing full time, I expect big things out of him, and I think if they get that, I think they'll be just fine, and it could be the Iron Bowl that decides who goes to the SEC championship game.
You're ultimately going with 10 wins with Auburn as well?
Yeah, I got them going at 10 wins.
Definitely the Iron Bowl is going to decide, regardless of 1 or 2 losses or whatever.
Yes.
That's going to be that's going to be, okay, this one's going to the championship game.
Do you agree it's a 2-horse race in the
Oh, there's
in
no
the West?
doubt. Yeah.
In the West, I don't.
You don't?
No. And I'll tell you why. And we'll talk about this team right now. It leads us into our next thing. Mississippi State. Read between the lines. I think Fitzgerald's the most dangerous quarterback in the SEC. They returned 9 starters on offense. They returned 7 on defense. Fitzgerald was almost a 1,000-yard rusher, and he got injured. Fitzgerald also threw for 2,000 yards. Moorhead is an outstanding coach. I think Auburn, I would give them a slight edge right now, but Mississippi State would be on their heels. Where's that game at?
Which one?
Auburn, Mississippi State. Where do they play at this year?
I'm not sure.
I don't have it on here.
If it's at Mississippi State, that's a very dangerous game. So we're going to break right into talking about Mississippi State. So y'all both went Auburn 10 wins. Mississippi State, like I said, 9 starters back. Fitzgerald's back. He threw for 1,800 yards. He ran for 984 yards, and he got injured, missed several games.
Shoulder, right?
But yeah, I believe so. He was out. He was injured, but the kid was unstoppable when he's in there. Moorhead's an outstanding coach. I think it's going to be plug and go as far as coaches goes over there because Mullen did build a good foundation. Their defense was not the best last year. They did make plays. To a testament to how good these guys were, they played Alabama to the wire.
Yes.
That was one of the better games of the SEC last year. How do you see them playing out?
Lost Ole Miss in Egg Bowl. I mean,
That was a huge loss.
Yeah, that's
but I
huge.
think it was something to do with Mullen leaving.
Yes, that, you're probably right. I like Fitzgerald. I'll tell you right now, I'm like Bo. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. I do worry how he'll come back because that running aspect of his games, he's not the greatest passer, but the running aspect helps him with his passing. And I need to see him come back from his injury to say, yes, okay, if it's the Fitzgerald we got last year, hey, yes, okay, absolutely. Yes, they are. Their defense is going to be outstanding this year. They were good last year. They're a year older. I think they returned 8 or 9 starters this year. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, they did. They returned 9 on offense.
9 on offense. They are. I have them down for 8 to 9 wins, but I also the Florida game at Mississippi State is huge. I mean, it's just for the psyche of the team, and
it's huge for both teams.
It is.
For both teams, yeah.
There's no doubt. I mean, but it's going to be a teeter. It's going to be the teeter-totter for both teams. You know, if you lose that game, it kind of deflates you, and you know they're playing for obvious reasons. We're playing for obvious reasons, and I have them 8 or 9 wins. I think they're right there. There's a top echelon, and I think there's LSU, Mississippi State type.
I don't. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I don't think that they can beat Alabama, but I think they're closer to Auburn than they are Alabama. I definitely give Alabama the edge over everybody in the West.
I've actually got Mississippi State and Florida both coming to that game undefeated.
That one I do think will happen.
And I could easily see that being the game of the week.
Absolutely. That'll probably
And I
happen.
think that will set the pace for one or the other.
Both teams.
Yes.
I agree. So you have them overall
I've got them at 10-2.
10-2.
Yes, I've got them losing to Auburn and Alabama. But
See that?
you know, Kansas State in week 2.
That's big.
It's gonna be one grinded out,
Yes.
ugly. That's gonna be an SEC type game.
Is Fitzgerald ready to go right now, though?
I think he is, ain't he?
I think so.
I think he's
Okay.
practicing.
Okay.
I might have to get our stat
But
guy
if
checking
they
out.
lose, if they slip up and lose to Kansas State,
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a snowball effect where
Yeah. That could
you
change
know,
everything.
yes.
That could change everything.
You know, even though Mullen's not there, you still have the Mullen effect with the players that he recruited, all the coaching that he did, with him being a quarterback guru. You know, Fitzgerald, expect great things from him.
I agree. We're going to move on. Our meat of our SEC West was there. We're going to move on with some of these other teams. It won't take as long to dive into. Let's go with LSU. They're the wild card to me. I'm going to tell you right now, week 2, you're going to find out what they are. They play Miami week 2. With that being said, they got 5 back on offense. They got 5 back on defense. They will be breaking in a new quarterback. They also lost Darius Geis, who was a 1,200-yard rusher. I think those 2 things alone is going to be very hard to replace offensively. With that being said, Josh, let me hear your take on LSU.
You know, Alabama and LSU have had some of the best games this decade. But I don't see it this year. I was not a big fan of the Ed Orgeron hire. Nothing against him, but I just do not think he was the right hire for LSU. I think they could have done a lot better. I do like Dave Aranda. I think he's a great coordinator. But losing John Chavis really hurt. I've got LSU going 5-7.
I like it.
You know,
I like it.
that sounds weird to say.
yeah,
But
Their schedule's so brutal, dude.
it really
Their
is.
schedule's.
If they lose that Miami game, you're going to be staring at the barrel
Yes.
of 5.
Yeah, you're looking
Could
at
be.
one
Schedule's
stretch
brutal.
where they go Ole Miss, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, Alabama, Auburn.
No,
Brutal.
that's nasty.
That's brutal.
And then, I mean, you play Miami week 2, and then you dive into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. I mean,
And you got Auburn in week 3. So,
that's nasty.
Not a lot of time for Joe.
And this is an X factor people's not even thinking about. This is the back-to-back year that they come to Florida
Yep, that's right.
because of the hurricane, and we went over there to play. So they're coming to Florida again this year.
We went over there and beat them too, by the way. Went over there and beat them too.
Shannon, tell me what you think about LSU.
I think LSU is, like he said, Ed Orgeron, he's always a man to me, great coordinator,
Yeah.
outstanding coordinator, great
Recruiter.
rah-rah, great recruiter, rah-rah guy. I mean, he'd come here and get us fired up enough to go through a wall right there. Yeah, wouldn't understand a word he said, but he'd get us fired up. Joe Burrow, I think, is going to be the quarterback transfer from Ohio State. That chart, if he goes down, we've seen this past week 2 transfers they're out. I mean,
They're
you know,
gone.
they're
Yeah.
too deep right now at quarterback, and with a walk on, with a walk on coming in, I do. Gritty Williams though, you getting their defense is gonna be, it's always gonna be good down there. I mean, just the kids they recruit from Louisiana are insanely good, but Gritty Williams in the secondary, he'll be top 15 pick. I mean, he's that guy.
What
He's
a
that
name
Patrick
for a
Peterson.
cornerback.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the honey badger. I mean,
Yeah.
it's what they do down there. They're not DBU, we are, but they are close second to being DBU. You know, I mean, I have them with 8 wins, possibly. I mean, that's again the Miami game. It's funny we keep saying this, but the early games, and I know Auburn overcame Clemson last year. That's an aberration. Normally that doesn't happen. If
Sets the tone.
Yes, that Miami game is huge for them. If they can get past that Miami game, and I could say, if that team comes together and Joe Burrow is what they think he is, but again, that's a first-year starter coming to SEC with that schedule. I say 8 wins, but if it's 5 and 7, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Not a bit.
All right.
Do you have them beat Miami?
I do. That's where the 8 wins comes from. Yeah.
See, I've got them losing to Miami.
Yeah. See, I think now if they lose Miami, I'm with you. 5 and 7, they won't overcome it.
I don't think so.
Orgeron won't make it out of this season. Yeah.
Yeah,
5 and
if he
7,
goes 5 and 7,
out.
he's probably
He's
gonna
gone.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was an impulse. He was an impulse hire. I think he was a fan safe hire. They didn't stretch the envelope and try to get anybody. They just went with let's just keep the masses calm enough to ride the ship until we can find somebody. That's what I think.
Ole Miss. We're about to talk about Ole Miss, who did the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Same exactly.
we're going to Ole Miss right now. Ole Miss is another team that has had recent success, even against Alabama, but they've got a huge black eye on them now. A lot of stuff went down, getting rid of their coach. Also, a lot of scrutiny has come down on some of the things that Hugh Freeze done, and it put a damper on some of those wins over Alabama. But let's just talk about this Ole Miss team. This Ole Miss team right here. They do have 8 starters coming back on offense. They only have 4 return on defense. But you lose Shea Patterson, who was, highly talented 5-star. He's at Michigan now. Who's going to step up on that Ole Miss offense? Who's going to step up and be the quarterback? Who do you got?
They have Matt Corral coming in, true freshman
Do you think
from
he's got a chance?
California. He does. I mean, I don't know that he gets the job. He has a chance. Another person they lose, it's pretty big for them, is Van Jefferson, who came to Florida, the number 1 wide receiver they had. He leaves them. I don't.
He's got 100 balls in 2 years for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was. But Matt Corral, you know what? If you're Matt Luke, after 2 or 3 games, you're not doing very well. Why not stick the freshman in and see what you got? And again, Matt Luke, it's just not a good. To me, it's a terrible hire.
I disagree. I like the Matt Luke hire.
For this situation,
To get
them through
it's a
this.
tough situation.
Yeah.
But Matt Luke is from the David Cutcliffe coaching tree. He was with Cutcliffe. Cutcliffe brought him along to Tennessee and to Duke. And I have a lot of respect for David Cutcliffe. And obviously Cutcliffe sees something in Matt Luke. He's a great recruiter.
Yeah.
So
He's a good offensive guy.
yeah.
I see them in shootouts this year. Is what I see. Defense is terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, they
defense
are.
is horrible.
It's got to be 40
Can
to
you
44.
name a player on
games.
their defense?
No, I can't.
Can you?
The great white shark that
Yeah.
they introduced.
Yeah, that's a cool looking. I mean, it is not a bad looking. I like the mascot.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
it's the land shark. Great story behind it if you don't know it.
Yeah,
But
I got him at 5 wins. I mean, that's max. I mean,
What you got, Matt?
I have them at 5 and 7.
Yeah.
1 and 6 in the SEC.
Both
Yeah.
pretty much agree on that. Let's dive into another who I think is a wild card team, who I think got an unbelievable, excellent hire. Let's talk about Texas A&M for a second. To me, I said, and a lot of people didn't agree with me, I thought Jimbo Fisher would be the man that replaced Nick Saban when he retired. And I said that for 2 reasons. Number one, Alabama and Nick Saban runs Alabama like a business. He's not a rah-rah guy. He don't jump up and down. He runs it like a business. He runs it like he's the CEO of a business, and he puts people into play, and these people do that, and these people do that. All right. 90% of the Alabama fans I know said it was going to be Dabo Swinney. To me, Dabo Swinney is an Auburn coach. And when I say an Auburn coach, he has to create energy. That's what Auburn lives on, energy. That's what they're based on. Alabama's not like that. To me, Auburn is a school that always has been. Even with Tuberville, go back in the day, Terry Bowden, even Pat Dye.
Go to Bruce Pearl in basketball.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've got to create energy at Auburn. You've got to. They don't have the tradition of Alabama. So to me, Dabo is a guy that would go to Auburn and fit well because of the energy he cast out. Jimbo's not like that. Jimbo's a very efficient, unbelievable recruiter. Unbelievable against his rivals. He runs it like a Fortune 500 company. He's very calculated, and on the back end, he don't have a lot of weaknesses. He puts great athletes out there, and about 90% of the time when he plays you, he out athletes you, which helps coach, which helps him. His recruiting is a testament to that. Ask Florida Gators what he does to his rivals. He kills us in recruiting. He killed us on the field. That's what you do. You dismantle your rivals by doing that. With that being said, I think he is a home run hire for Texas A&M. However, I don't think it's going to be this year. With that being said, we're going to find out very quickly because week 2 they play Clemson. Josh, talk to me about Texas A&M.
Okay, first of all, Coach Sweeney, if you're watching this, don't listen to them. Hey, Mama's calling when Nick Saban leaves. Come on home.
I thought we were holding McElwain for Alabama.
There we go.
Please.
No, I think hire of the off season, best hire. I didn't think that there was any way they was going to be able to get him, but they got him. I think it's a great marriage between Jimbo, Texas A&M. Kyle Field is such a hard place to play.
Unbelievable place.
I mean, I was so happy when we got A&M in the SEC. I think they've been a SEC team for a long time. Great hire, but like you said, not this year. I still think they're a year out, if not 2.
They have 8 starters on offense. They have 7 returner on defense. Javon Williams is an 800-yard guy, but who else sticks out to you on that offense that's a potential playmaker? Anybody?
Not really.
I don't think so either.
You know,
who scares you? Who would you not want to defend?
On offense?
On offense.
I mean,
Traydon Williams.
That's what I say. He's an 800-yard guy.
Oh, yeah.
Besides him is what I said.
No, Mond at times last year looked like a, poor man's Manziel, I guess. I don't, outside of that, I don't know if he was.
I can't think of anybody.
Jimbo, though, is, gosh, what a hire.
And there will be a household name.
Yeah.
We just don't know it yet.
Yeah. I'm so glad he left Florida State. I can't even.
So how did they get him in LSU? LSU swooned at. I mean, they tried to get him, and everybody thought that's where he was going, but he turned it down and ended up having to settle for Orgeron. Or they say that was their number one. I'm sorry, you didn't. That's not true. Stop lying. I mean, you didn't go to Orgeron first. Say it's your job.
No.
I mean, are we now looking at are we living in a world where Texas A&M has a better job than LSU?
I think resources-wise, money-wise,
money.
I think it is. And I can tell you why. Because now they're in the SEC with SEC backing, the SEC network, where a few years ago, you'd obviously say LSU because the Big 12 don't have the TV revenue that the SEC does. Well, now they're on a level playing field.
And you got
recruiting resources.
You're in the SEC in the state of Texas with all of those recruits.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a powerful.
And you're actually located in a part of Texas where you can dip into Louisiana.
Yeah.
And get some of those Louisiana kids as well.
Yeah.
What do you get? 7.5.
What's that?
Is that 7.5 million a year?
Oh yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
That's insane.
What was your final record on that?
I have them. The only 2 players like Traydon Williams and defensive end Landis Durham. I mean, he is one of the best defensive ends in the nation. That dude. He's unbelievable. In another long line in theirs, but I have them 7, possibly 8 wins. But 7's kind of pushing it.
I've got them at 7-5.
7-5. That wraps up our SEC West teams, guys. We're going to dive into the East, and I know everybody still watching this video is wanting to hear this because we're diving straight into Florida right off the bat.
I don't have notes on Florida.
I've got a few that I want to talk about. The hiring of Dan Mullen, there was a black cloud lifted from the University of Florida. I've hated McElwain before they hired him. I hated while they were hiring him. I hated his whole tenure there. I was one of those guys that complained, the sky's falling. When they fired him, was one of the best days I've had in this household since I bought my house. There's finally hope again at Florida, and a testament to that starts with our strength and conditioning coach. He brought along Savage. Is an absolute animal. He's changed the mindset. He's changed the habits. Everything has changed with this guy. If you've seen the before and after photos of our players that we have there currently and the ones we're bringing in, totally different team. So it's totally different. I can't explain how much better looking these guys are than they were then. But that being said, I'm going to dive straight into the offense. Florida has 10 returning starters on offense. And normally, a lot of people will be like, well, they were terrible on offense. Well, they were, but I also don't think they got coached at all. I don't think they've been coached for the last few years. And you might as well say 11 returning starters because Jordan Scarlett's back. He's not one of the ones I counted. All 5 offensive linemen returning. 2 absolute home run transfers coming in at wide receiver. We also have, several playmakers on offense like Kadarius Toney. I think Jordan Scarlett's huge. Michael P. Ryan's going to be another one that I think that a lot of people's going to hear his name called a lot. And then you go on the defensive side of the ball, which I'm more concerned about than the offensive side of the ball, with 6 returning starters on defense. You do have David Reese, who had 102 tackles last year. C.C. Jefferson's lost the weight. He's back. Woods, what is your opinion on our boys?
I'm like you. I like the thing I like right now, and the thing about, like you talked about in Alabama, they could plug 5 guys in right now that could probably start at running back on any other team. Rush for 1,000 yards. Florida is that's the one thing McElwain did do. He got us deeper in running back. You say Jordan Scarlett's back. Well, you also have Malik Davis, who, kid gets hurt last year, true freshman, has 560 yards rushing.
Well, he averages 6 points.
Yeah, I mean, he's a beast. He's a beast. Darius Lemons is averaging 7 or 8 yards a carry. You got the true freshman, Damian Pierce, coming in, and they're just raving about him. I mean, this kid was, I want to say he's number 2 running back in the nation last year. It's really deep. No matter what quarterback starts, like we were talking about earlier, the wide receiver depth, the running back, the skill positions, you don't have to be a hero. Just go in there, run the play. Give us some kind of pulse. Don't throw it to the other team.
Give me a pulse.
Just give me anything. We don't need, an all-American quarterback in there. We just need someone to manage the team. Defense is going to be a lot better this year. Last year was a little bit. It's kind of they weren't very good, but a lot of that was because the offense was that bad. They work hand in hand. When you're on the field 70% of the time, you're not going to be good.
Hidden stat: they finished 110th in the nation in offense last year.
Yeah, and that was every year in McElwain. It was around 100 every year.
That's going to change.
Yeah, that's going to change. Yeah,
with the hire of Dan Mullen, that has already changed.
You got playmakers everywhere. I mean, it's insane to watch. He's right. You watch, and I'm that psycho guy that follows these kids on Instagram, and I don't try to communicate with them, but I do watch they post their workouts. They post, and you watch the intensity, the former players coming back, and McElwain kind of here's what happened with McElwain. I can tell you, and it's as simple as this: he came in like he was Nick Saban. He commanded people to treat him like Nick Saban. At Florida, he'd go in a recruit's house. If they didn't want to come to Florida, okay, see ya. Like Spurrier used to do. Yeah. Spurrier commanded that, but he could command that. McElwain could, this penny loafer wearing guy, he can't,
You got to earn it.
Yeah, get out of my house, bro. Are you kidding me? Who are you, first of all? Who are you? Oh, you're head coach of Florida. Never heard of you. I mean, I don't know your name. Todd Grantham. I mean, everyone in SEC's familiar with Todd Grantham. He's been around for 15, 20 years. The guy's... He's very aggressive, and that's what Florida needs, an aggressive defense coordinator, not someone that sits back.
Testament to him, he took over Mississippi State. They were 115th in the nation, and he got them up to 12th in a season.
And that's with an offense that's not with a plodding offense. I mean, you can see that, with the offense is keeping the ball, I mean, that's with Dan Mullen's offense that, was
up and down
the field a lot of times, So I'm excited. I have the Gators at 10 wins, and there's 2 games early in the season that will tell us a lot. The Tennessee game is always huge. and I think it's huge for both teams.
We can't beat Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, but you just never know that with that game.
We have a friend here.
Yes, he is. He's over there. And then Mississippi State, but I could see us. I see 10 wins.
I'll say this before Josh comments. I see us breaking the FSU losing streak this year.
No doubt. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Georgia's going to be a handful, even though I think Georgia's overrated. I'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's going to be a handful. I think our toughest game on our schedule is going to be at Mississippi State.
At Mississippi State. It is because of the situation, but I'm going to tell you, we went to Mississippi State, Ron Zook's last game, and I'm telling you, buddy, we got beat.
We went there and got beat by Spurrier.
But when
When
Spurrier
we tore the goalpost.
That's right. And that was
Rob Berlin burned his red shirt.
Yes, that's right. He came in. But it's the worst I've ever been treated at a stadium in my life. Dude, they beat us with Ron Zook. Beat us. They lost to University of Maine the week before. Mississippi State did. Maine University. I don't know which one it is. But
That may just be a college.
they beat Hey, they beat us. They beat us. And we're walking back to our car right in front of the fraternities. They are cussing us. They're saying, we lost them money. You lost me money. You bet against your own college, bro. You just bet against your own
True
team.
story.
And, dude, I thought we were in a fight. I mean, there's like 50 frat guys there.
Cussing Shannon and I.
Yeah. And Freddie.
Yeah, and Freddie. Yeah,
I think Big Chest Fred was with us too,
Yeah,
right?
he was.
Every time he's with us, we lose. He's never like Big Chest Fred, never again. Dude, never again. I don't even sit by at Etowah games because I'm nervous. I'm just kidding. Big Chest Fred's a great guy, outstanding guy. But that was the worst trip of my life. Not just, there was other things that led up to that, but that was the worst trip of my life. Mississippi State's a hard place to go. It's a cow pasture. All of a sudden, there's a stadium, and it's a nice campus.
And that's tough, man. It's a tough place to play.
It is.
It's Auburn West.
It is. What you got in Florida?
I like I were talking about, winning is contagious, and I think having a new mindset, especially the Dan Mullen, anybody that's been keeping up halfway with college football knows that he's a top coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a great hire. The fact that he's been at Florida before, I think is going to make a big difference. And I've actually got Florida going 9-3.
I can see that.
I love the way for Florida that their schedule stacks up. You got Charleston, Kentucky, Colorado State, Tennessee. You build up. And with Dan Mullen, I don't know if it's going to be Felipe Franks, but it gives him a chance to get that offense up and going, work out the kinks, get the X's and O's, and get the Jimmys and Joes in line. And I think going into that Tennessee game, if they, which I've got them beating Tennessee, Mississippi State.
That's what it all.
That's going to
tell the tape, brother.
Yeah, and then
that's going to be one of those. They're going to want blood because Mullen left.
Yes, that's going to be a
our defense will be tested heavily in that game. You better believe that. All right. With that being said, let's go back to the Georgia Bulldogs. Made it all the way to the championship game. Had Alabama down 13? 13 and a half. Had them dead to rights. You can ask anybody that's here. I said they'd lose the game, and the reason I thought they'd lose the game was Kirby Smart. I'm not sold on Kirby Smart. I honestly think Kirby Smart is Will Muschamp 2.0. He did the exact same thing when he was at Florida. We were undefeated. Our only loss was to Georgia back then. And then tell of a tape. Once Urban's players left and his players came in, even though he was recruiting, number one class, or we never left the top five. I think when he was there, when Muschamp was there.
No.
We never left the top five in recruiting, but we couldn't win on the field.
But it was all defenders.
It's all defenders.
It was all defenders, and he handcuffed the offense.
In my opinion, I honestly think that I think he's a little bit better than Muschamp, and I think he's in a better situation than Muschamp. But I don't think he is the end all be all.
I think he's an NFL guy. Is what I honestly
Kirby
think.
Smart.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that if he has another year or two of success in the NFL, if an NFL job comes knocking, I think he's the guy that would the stability. You can just feel it's not really there. But they're bringing in 5 stars left and right, so obviously they feel differently than I do.
I'm shocked. I think Kirby Smart's going to be at Georgia for a long time.
Yeah,
I got my reasons why I don't.
I mean, yeah, you're entitled to that, but as an Alabama fan, we all knew when that job came open that Kirby was going to take it. We knew that's what he was waiting on. I mean, that's his alma mater. It was a great position for him, and we all knew it was coming. And in year 2, he's got him in the championship game.
That's why I think it's must
It
championship.
is must championship, and honestly, we would have been. We should have been in the national championship game against Alabama that year.
Yep.
Should have been Florida and Alabama in the national title game. Notre Dame win, I believe, right? Is that right?
It's because it's undefeated. They had to go. We'll give them that.
And it should have been Florida. He was just a couple plays away from being in the national title game in year 2. He's right. I see what he's saying. It looks same path.
Here's something that I'm gonna tell you, and this is my people think I'm crazy when I'm saying this, and a lot of Alabama fans really thought I was crazy because a lot of Alabama fans you like Kirby Smart.
I like Kirby Smart.
Most Alabama fans. I don't have anything against Kirby Smart.
Had we not come back and won, I would not have nice things to say about it. But hey, Coach Smart, if you're watching this, if Coach Saban leaves, you're more than welcome to come back.
Now here's why I say they're overrated. Read between the lines, okay? You lost not one but 2 1,200 yards rushers. You're replacing 2 of your best offensive linemen that you had. All right, so you do have 8 starters back on paper, but look at the ones you lost.
Well, you don't get better by losing a guy like Chubb. You don't get better by losing a guy like Michelle. You got on defense Roquan Smith. The numbers don't really say that you lost a lot, but when you look at what you lost, I think it says
Roquan Smith, to me, in my opinion, was the best defender in the nation last year.
Oh yeah,
You lost him on defense. You lost 2 1,200-yard rushers on offense. He's not in a situation where it's plug and go, even though he had a huge recruiting class.
The depth is not there.
It's not there.
It's not Alabama.
I think their schedule is not that brutal, though. They're in the SEC East, and I think they're going to have a facade that they're that Georgia team enrolling until they play a real team, and I think they're going to get pantsed. I don't think they're that good.
You think it'll be who?
I think we got a chance to beat them. I don't know if we will this year.
That's what I was thinking.
Me personally, I don't know if we will this year, but they're not the best team in the nation. And even ESPN has them ranked higher than Alabama. Their percentages to go to the national championship game again. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
The Alabama schedule, that doesn't make sense to me at all.
That's honest God. You can Google it, whatever you want. Their percentages, they do. They're only bringing back. Here's the X factor of all X factors. Not only did you lose the nation's best player, period, at any level, defensive, I don't care. He's the best defender in my opinion.
Yeah. When
you take leadership and what he did on the field, but you also lost another 6 starters to go with him.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only returning 5 starters, and you lost the nation's best defender.
Yep.
And he's not in a plug and go situation like Alabama at this point.
Now, with that being said, they're not really going to be hurting. They're not going to be as good, but they're not going to be hurting at running back. Zamir Smith just tore his ACL the other day,
Right.
but you got DeAndre Swift.
He's very good.
DeAndre Swift is a great running back.
He's very good. I'd be more worried about their defense if I was a Georgia
Yes.
fan.
I think they'll score. I think you're right. I think they'll score points.
What do you got?
The receiving core. I have Georgia 8 to 10 wins. They're at LSU. They have us in Jacksonville. At South Carolina, and that's
who else have they got out of the West? Just LSU.
Auburn at Georgia. It's in between the hedges, but I just 8 to 10 wins. I lean more to 8.
Beat that team.
I do too. I do. Yeah. I think you're right. I like Mississippi State. I'm not in love with, and it's not because I'm a Gator fan. I'm not in love with Georgia. I wasn't.
No.
They actually have a quarterback. What may happen is if we get a little struggle from Georgia in the beginning, you got a Justin Fields, a 5-star quarterback, sitting there, and everyone's going to be clamoring. Just like, hey, Tua at Alabama, everybody wants him.
That's going to be another X factor.
We put Justin Fields in, and there's going to be some divide there. It's more than just football. And do I think Saban can handle that? If he does, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, do I think this Do I think? I don't know. I just don't know if he can handle it.
How can those players from Georgia handle success? They're not used to it.
That's right. It's
So you
hard
said
on
8
their
to
back.
10. What was the
I'm
number?
more on 8 though. I'm on. Let's.
If
I'm
their
gonna go-
schedule was a little tougher, I could agree with that.
Yeah, I think at LSU's a loss. I like LSU.
What do you?
At 8 wins.
I've got them at 11 wins.
Yeah.
I've got them losing one game in the regular season. I've got them losing to South Carolina.
Losing South Carolina.
Yes.
All right. Let's dive right into the next team. That team is going to be South Carolina. Let's bring them up. You brought them up. Let's do it. South Carolina, to me, a lot of people are really high on them. Another team I'm not high on, and here's why. They do return 8 starters on offense. They only return 5 on defense. I do think he will be. It is Muschamp's defense, and he's proven that over the years. He is phenomenal at putting the defense together. He can do it with duct tape. But here's my underlying problem with them. Who scares you offensively on their team? And when you read between the lines, they finished 109th in the nation in offense last year.
Debo Samuels.
Okay, check this out. Are they going to be good enough to replace 6 starters defensively with an offense that's bringing back basically 110th in the nation? The one thing he's never proven as a head coach, and I think this is why he's still not at Florida, because he recruited, the defense was lights out, special teams is good. The man will not turn loose of an offense and let people run it.
Yeah, no offense to Coach Muschamp. Some people are just coordinators. They're not head coaches. I think this may be the case but I could be wrong. But like I said, I've got South Carolina. I'm very high on them. I've got them going 10-2. I do like Debo Samuels. I think he's a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy. I don't have him as my Heisman Trophy favorite though, but I think he is. I think he will be in the conversation. Great talent. They're going to utilize him on kickoffs, punts.
Randall Cobbish.
Yes.
Randall Cobbish.
And one thing we haven't talked about is the new rule change that we should probably talk about. How is that going to affect teams? But Debo Samuels, I think, remember that name.
You think he's that good?
I think he's very special.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. He's Randall Cobbish. There's no doubt.
So you got him at 10 wins?
10-2.
Shannon?
I cover about everything they did. Losing Hayden Hurst to me is bigger than anything. That kid was everything tight end. I mean, the guy if they needed to catch, throw it up to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the defense will be all right. They've got I've got them. They play Mississippi, LSU, Auburn, Bama. I've got them at 8 wins. They were 9-4 last year. The quietest 9-4 team you probably ever seen in your life.
Yes.
8, and I think Muschamp. We've seen it. He's turned his offense loose a little bit. He's figured out, hey, I can't always tell them, hey, man, run a dive because I need to be in good position on my defense.
They went from 120th to 109th.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right. We were like 130 when he was there. So.
That's a special characteristic and trait that not a lot of coaches have. Nick Saban, honestly, I believe that's one of the best things he ever done is realized I'm not an offensive guy, and he turns his offense over. Now you will see him mouthing some expletives when he feels like we should have ran the ball, But for the most part, he turns his offense over to his offensive coordinator.
When he hired Lane, that was a gutsy move that paid off. He's the best coordinator y'all had.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, let's move right on. This is an interesting team right here. Is Mizzou. A couple of things I'm going to tell you right now that is something that's interested me about Mizzou. I was kind of blown away when I actually looked at Locke's stats.
Yeah.
They returned 9 starters off an offense that finished 8th in that nation last year. Drew Locke's numbers was 44 touchdowns and I believe only 15 picks. 4,000 yards passing. He made a good point, and I'm going to let him elaborate on that, so we'll start on this. Defensively, they do return 6 starters. Garrett, with 105 tackles, is very solid.
Yes.
Definitely their best player. But elaborate what you saw about Drew Locke's stats last year.
Drew Locke's stats are very gaudy when you look at them. just at face value. Now, when you break them down and look at them versus winning teams, he did not have good stats. But is that his fault, or is that him being a part of Missouri? You know, I think we could be looking at the overall top draft pick next year. But is that enough to really compete in the SEC East?
Well, let me ask you this. It's kind of scary looking at this in a league that has atrocious offenses such as Florida's, such as South Carolina's, and I'm talking about division. Vandy's offense is awful. They finished 8th in the nation. And you got a guy returning for senior year that threw for 4,044 touchdowns. Why is he not mentioned in the Heisman race?
Yeah,
It's kind of scary thinking if they can click like that offensively and get a pulse on defense, that'd be kind of scary.
But it's like you guys just elaborated on that. He doesn't do it against big time opponents. It's just he disappears, and if you don't have that one big win in the season, you're not going to get put into any kind of Heisman talk. You could throw 60 touchdowns and go 0 for 3 against Alabama, Auburn, and Florida, and throw a touchdown and 10 picks. Rest of the year you've thrown 55 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You're just not getting in it, and it's it's like a basketball player getting in at the end of the game and scoring 20 points. When you're winning 40 points, so what, dude?
Off camera, we were talking about unwritten rules in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The Heisman Trophy has unwritten rules.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you got to be on a winning team.
Yep.
So, and I don't understand that, but that's just the way it's always been. You got to be a part of a winning team. It's been trending towards quarterbacks here lately, but I think we're going to have a running back win it this year.
I've got them at 6 wins. They do play Purdue. I got them at 6. That's all. That's max.
I got them at 5 and 7.
Yeah.
5 and 7.
Yeah. I think they'll start out the year with 3 wins, and then they hit that meat grinder: Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama.
Jesus.
That's right.
They're not. Let's look at his stats in those games.
Yeah.
Show me your stats during those games, and then we'll talk Heisman.
I agree. Let's go into an interesting team, and we do have a member of this nation right here in the room with us. Mr. Mason is a great friend of mine. He's on here watching the show with us. Let's talk about Tennessee. It was weird to me to see how that all unfolded. One thing that I thought that was a very interesting stat that about Tennessee that really kind of threw me off was how all that unfolded as far as letting him go and the way they let him go. Because I think they had somebody in mind and it didn't work out for him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think they ended up getting a good football coach in the end.
Jeremy Pruitt, I think, is going to be a great coach.
I think so too. Now
That's a huge uphill battle, though.
With that being said, if you're a Tennessee fan, here's the scary part. You only returned 4 starters offensively. You finished 125th in the nation offensively. You only returned 6 starters on defense. You finished 82nd in the nation defense. Those 2 stats are scary, especially for a first-year head coach coming in with a lot of questions and a decimated recruiting class.
Yes.
Due to what all went on and how it went on. With that being said, Shannon, opinion on Tennessee?
I'm not high on Tennessee. And Jeremy Pruitt, I think, wound up being a good hire. The way that all went down, obviously, he's a black eye on them. I think Tyson Helton is a great hire for them. Throws the ball around a lot. Was a offense coordinator at Western Kentucky, I believe, a few years back. He'll throw the ball everywhere. Running back, replacing John Kelly, that's huge. That guy was unbelievable. He was, one of the best.
He's in the bright stars on
a
decimated.
Yeah, and he's getting hit in the backfield 60% of the time, but he's still getting 3 or 4 yards. Their offense tackle Trey Smith, obviously that guy's outstanding. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit on a bad team. Marquez Callaway. The one bright spot for them last year is their pass D was 3rd in the nation. Unfortunately, that's because everybody was running the ball down their throat and they didn't have to pass the ball. So I think they have to clean that up first and foremost.
I think they got the right coach to do
it. They do have the right coach to do it.
They have the Jimmys and Joes to do it.
Yes, but he'll get them. I believe Jeremy Pruitt will get them. I have them. What do I have them? Florida game's huge as usual. At Georgia, at Auburn, at Bama, at South Carolina. That's crazy.
They're at all them?
Yes, dude.
Oh.
I got 5 to 6 wins, and that's 5. I'm going.
I've
5.
got them going 6-6.
Yeah.
Man,
And
you take that right now, I bet.
when I look at that, they first of all they start the season off with West Virginia,
Man.
Yeah.
and then you've got 2 games, and then you start like you said, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina.
Sheesh.
Jesus, man. You
Yeah,
kidding me?
like, if their scheduling coordinator is not fired,
Yeah.
you know,
Throw me a Western Kentucky in there.
that's ridiculous.
The Bama game is in Knoxville.
Yeah. Bama is in Knoxville.
There will be 110,000 people there. They're going to raise all kind of hell.
It does not matter.
It won't matter. Yeah, it won't.
But it's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, sure.
It always is.
For an Alabama fan.
All right. We got 2 more teams.
Unless Clint Sterner's coming here to fumble the ball, it ain't happening. I mean,
We got 2 more teams we're going to talk about right here. Let's go to Kentucky right now. Kentucky, Mark Stoops again, I think, was a little bit of a letdown last year. He didn't. He had everything aligned for him in that Florida game. Was the one that broke his back again. He had everything aligned for him. He's underachieved. He's got him new facilities. He's done a lot of good things as a Kentucky coach. But let's just be honest. Kentucky has a ceiling on this football program.
Yes.
You're not going to go past that ceiling. They do have 7 returning starters on offense. They do have 8 returning starters on defense, which is Stoops coach defense with 8 returning starters. You would think that that's an awesome. Hey man, we're about to be unbelievable. No, 92nd in the nation. Now Benny Snell Jr.
He's good.
Dude, 1,333 yards, but their offense finished 103rd in the nation.
Yeah. It was because Johnson was not a very good quarterback.
That being said,
Yeah.
this ain't gonna take long.
No, it's
10
not.
minutes.
You got Benny Snell and you got Josh Allen on the defensive side of the ball. That's your substance. I mean, and it's always going to be that way. Kentucky. You're not going to have 3 or 4 household names. You know, you had your Randall
Do
Cobb.
y'all
who
both
did-
agree they're a ceiling football program?
Oh, there's no doubt. You
agree with
can't.
that?
Yeah.
They're a basketball school. Everybody knows that, and that's just I know our Mike's not going to like to hear that.
He's gonna
But
watch this and he's gonna.
He'll
box
vote.
us.
Yeah, that's right. Defense 97. Like 6 wins. I mean, I got them at 6, and that's
I've got them 30 wins.
yeah.
30.
Oh,
Oh, you know, yeah.
football.
There he goes.
Uh,
There he goes.
no, yeah, I mean,
Can I tell a quick Bear Bryant story?
sure.
You ever heard about the sports banquet with Bear Bryant?
With the watch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to tell it?
Huh?
You want to tell it? Tell it. This is a
No,
great story.
I'll let you tell it.
Come
Because
on.
I tell it one-sided.
It's true. Don't hear it.
My feelings
Let's hear
are
it.
still hurt. You know,
I've not heard it.
who was it? Rupp?
Adolph. Let me tell you.
Adolph Rupp.
Okay, Adolph Rupp. They had a sports banquet, right? So Adolph Rupp had won the SEC in basketball, and Bear Bryant had won the SEC in football at the same sports banquet. Well, Rupp gets a new Cadillac, right?
New Cadillac.
Brand new Cadillac. They give him
A watch.
no, it was a lighter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They give him a lighter. They give Bear Bryant a damn lighter. So they basically said, he said, Adolph Rupp gave me a ride home in his new Cadillac, and I lit his cigar on my lighter, and then gave my letter of resignation the next morning.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty
That's about
hilarious story. To give you a little bit of how much they like football and
Yeah.
basketball there.
That's about
All
right.
right, we got one more team. We're gonna close this out. We was gonna do this a little bit. We'll dive into that to our Wednesday show. Last team, not a lot to talk about here. Vandy, 7 starters on offense. They only returned 4 starters on defense. Mason,
I like Mason.
I like him. I think he's a good mind,
Yeah.
but it's Vandy's Vandy.
Yeah.
You do have 2,800 yards and 26 touchdowns. How do you pronounce his name? Shermer.
Shermer. Yeah.
Shermer.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty solid football player on an otherwise bad football team. Defensively, I think he's got some people to replace this year. I think he's an energy coach. I like him as a coach, and I want to like him. He's at Vandy, though.
I would love to have him on Alabama's coaching staff.
On
Oh,
the staff, yes.
He's organized though. I mean, I could see him as a head coach somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
not Florida or
just-
Alabama, but
Just not.
It's Vandy, man. I think it's just the Vandy curse, man, more than anything.
Yeah.
you've got the kid. The only thing, again, at Vandy, there is a kid, and I read up on the lies. Keyshawn Vaughn transferred from Illinois.
Now they do have some talent.
Yeah, you're
At certain spots.
Ralph Webb was going to get his no matter what. It didn't matter. And you kind of take, oh, okay, yeah. But this kid that comes from Illinois, he's that type of player, maybe more versatile than Webb. But again, man, it's Vandy. They could upset somebody that they shouldn't, but I got them 5 wins. I mean, 5 to 6 wins. I got them right there on the bowl.
I've got them at 3 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have them beating Nevada? Because I think that's going to be a very interesting game.
If their defense doesn't get any better this year, they won't beat Nevada. I promise. There's no possible way. But,
Game 3, they've got Notre Dame.
They're going to lose that.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. But they still get a chance to play Notre Dame.
they're still in the SEC East too, which is.
Are they playing Notre Dame up there?
I think so.
It's not neutral, no.
I don't think so.
God, man, that'd be fun to go watch.
As a Vandy fan, do you? I mean, I would love the fact of playing Notre Dame.
Because let's be honest, they're going to be scrappy in that game.
Sure.
I mean, they're
Notre Dame's not beating anybody's brakes off.
Notre Dame's going to do what Notre Dame's done the last couple of years. They're going to run the football.
Yeah.
Look how ugly Georgia played them last year. Vandy will make that game ugly.
That's what they've got a fighter's chance. In a lot of games. They're going to make games. The uglier they can make it, the better chance they've got of winning.
I think so. That's every
now.
game
That
for
being
them.
said, if Vandy, look, if you win your first 2 games of the year, don't go talking trash about Alabama.
That was beautiful.
I mean, I hope you learned a lesson from that last year.
MVP of the league.
I got Stidham. I got Jarrett Stidham as the best player in the SEC and offensive player of the year.
I'm going to go, and I know we kind of badmouthed him a little bit, but I think Drew Lock, I think he will be, I think he'll get his interceptions down, and I think he'll help win Missouri some games. I've got Drew Lock.
I've got Damian Harris from Alabama. He's returning, good offensive line. Whichever quarterback's back there is going to be good enough to keep people out of the box. More so too than Jalen. But with Jerry Jeudy taking the top off that defense, you're going to have to. You can't hover around the line of scrimmage. He's a 1,000-yard rusher last year. If he gets the touches, Najee Harris doesn't get split time with him, which I don't think he will. I think it's going to be a 70% carry guy. He'll probably get 1,400 yards, and if Alabama runs the table, I think it's Damian Harris. That being said, let's pick our SEC champion. Let's move on. Woods.
I have Auburn and Florida playing the SEC championship game, and I have Auburn beating Florida in the SEC championship. I think Florida comes out of the East. I think, and that's just. I think Auburn beats Alabama. I think that's either an undefeated game or a 1 or 2 loss game, and there'll be some pushback on that. I understand, but I like Stidham, and then I base everything. I really, really like Stidham. I do. I think he's an A1A player.
Josh.
I've got Alabama, Georgia. I mean, I hate to go chalk here, but I think that's going to be. I think it'll be Alabama, Georgia.
And you got Alabama winning. Of course, I mean, obviously. This is a tough one. I went back and forth all week. I think on paper, Alabama's got the most talent. I think this is the one year that it's finally going to catch up with him. They caught up with him last year. He went in the ACC championship game, but he won the national title. I think again this year, I'm going to go with Auburn out of the West in a very, very tight race. And I'm actually going to pick Georgia to go out of the East, but they're not going to be the same dominant Georgia. And the rest of the East is catching up with them, especially I think Florida, and I'm not being a homer, I'm just being honest. I think Georgia by a hair out of the East, and I'm going to say Georgia's going to win the SEC overall.
So you got them in the Final Four then?
Yeah. No, I don't.
So the SEC
You don't have
won't get a
Georgia
team
in the final.
No, this will be the first year.
No SEC team.
No SEC team in the finals.
Well, let's
Unless
say
Alabama,
yes.
backdoors their way in.
Yes.
I don't think Georgia will be, and I don't think Auburn will be.
Yes,
I honestly think this will be the one year that we're either left out or Alabama backdoors their way in again. So with that being said, we'll go national later, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to close out. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell beside it to get all your notifications. Average Joe Sports Talk. Good night.